following program is intended for mature audiences.
All right.
Oh, good for you.
He can't do nothing else.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
I have a question. So they're doing the national anthem before the Blues game, right?
Yeah.
Before any game. And the last line is home of the brave, but all the Blues fans, they do home of the Blues. So I just wanted to know, what's your guys' opinion on replacing parts of the national anthem with, or emphasizing parts based on your team's name or colors? Like Dallas, they yell Stars. In Winnipeg, it's True North. Or Calgary, they always yell red during the Star Spangled Banner.
It's no big. I mean, I could see where if you wanted to get really picky about tradition and all that, you'd say, okay, it's disrespectful, but I don't have a problem with it. It's a sporting event. I'm not sure why we have the national anthem played before it in the first place.
I'm going to take a bit of a different stance. Stuff like the whole True North thing at Winnipeg doesn't bother me because it's not like they're changing the anthem. Like the words True North do actually appear in the Canadian national anthem, so they're not really altering it. But stuff like the home of the Blues or emphasizing, red or stars, like I don't know. I'm not a fan of it myself. I
don't like the True North one with Winnipeg just because it's like all hail our corporate overlords. It's not. It has nothing to do with the Jets or the city of Winnipeg. It's True North. They own us. Thank you, True North, for giving us a hockey team.
Well, see, that's why I'm okay with it because, it's not like any other team, glorifying their corporate overlords. It kind of works in the narrative of the Winnipeg Jets where they lost a team and then it seemed like they were never going to get one again because, why would the league go back to Winnipeg? And then True North kind of stepped in as sort of like a savior in a way. So as far as the narrative of the team goes, I think it works.
Breaking news, 1-0 Dallas.
Yep. Little wrister right over the glove, kind of a weak one. And, oh, Jesus. Wait for your feed, Greg. Wait for your feed.
Did they just score again?
Yeah, that's what I was telling you to wait for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is bad for my Blues, isn't it?
Yeah, 2-0 in the first, 5 minutes?
If that. Luckily
for them, Dallas is terrible defensively and goaltending wise, so there's still plenty of time for them to catch up in this one.
Well, not only that,
I'm not too concerned.
Oh, speaking of, I told Mike this yesterday, Zach. I'll tell you. I went to Key West actually, I got a good story about Key West too, but I'll get to that in a minute. My nephew had his first communion over the weekend, so we went down to Key West. And on the way back yesterday, as we're coming through Miami, I saw, believe it or not, a car with Florida license plates that had a Florida Panthers license plate frame on it. I actually saw a Florida Panthers fan in the wild in Florida, which I just thought was the most amazing thing. They do exist, believe it or not.
Well, that poor fan, he's going to have to update his license plate holder, too, once they release those jerseys next month? They're supposed to get them out?
Yep.
June, they said?
Yep.
Well, see, he was lucky because it just said Florida Panthers. It had no logo, no anything on it, just the name. So when we got to the hotel, so we get into the hotel on Friday night, walking over to the elevator to go up to our room, and I look down the hallway, and I'm like, is that guy not wearing any clothes? And it was kind of down the hallway a ways, and as he got closer, there was a guy that was walking down the hallway, pulling some sort of cart behind him, stark fucking naked.
Yeah, you've reached peak Florida, Greg.
I guess so, yeah.
This is what you're getting yourself into, Mike.
Mike's going to the Tampa side, which, having been to pretty much all of Florida now except the Panhandle, Tampa is by far more normal than the eastern side of Florida or the Miami area or the Keys or anything. So that it's basically the Midwest with palm trees is Tampa. So it's pretty normal, nothing too weird.
So basically, I won't get too Florida.
No, not really at all. No, actually, you'll kind of forget that you're there sometimes because it's just very, very normal over there. The rest of the place is pretty weird, I got to say. But Tampa,
I don't think I could do Miami.
Seeing the Panthers fan yesterday got me to thinking. I could see putting a team in Tampa with the NHL because there's a lot of Midwesterners there, a lot of Canadian transplants. That makes sense. If you're going to put a team in the Miami area, that makes as much sense as putting one in Jamaica or in Havana. Basically, once you reach a certain, like when you hit West Palm Beach, every place that you go into, Spanish is their first language. I don't know why they thought hockey would work in the Miami market. It makes no sense to me, having been there a few times now.
I think it also worked better in Miami as opposed to the Everglades.
They actually did draw reasonably well when they were in Miami proper. It was once
It also helped that they went to the Stanley Cup final in their second year, and as the team stands right now, they've been to the playoffs twice since the year 2000 and lost in the first round each time.
And I'll say this, too. Having seen where Sunrise is, actually seeing it in person, where Sunrise is in relation to Miami, and with the traffic down there, I can't blame anyone from Miami for not driving all the way up there to go to a game. I wouldn't do it.
Isn't it closer to Fort Lauderdale than it is to Miami?
If you're looking at a Florida map, okay, you got Miami, which is pretty much down at the bottom. Then you've got Fort Lauderdale and all the little suburbs. Sunrise is like off to the northwest side of Miami and Fort Lauderdale and all that. It's a good probably, I've got to say, at bare minimum, a 45-minute drive from Miami, and that's if no one's on the road. And I got to think that, now I've not been to Southern California, but I got to think that Miami traffic rivals Southern California for how bad it is. I couldn't blame anyone for not getting in a car and say Miami or somewhere, in that area and trying to drive to Sunrise for a hockey game, especially if they had to work all day. It would make no sense. You'd never get there in time. You'd get there by the beginning of the third period if you were lucky. So I don't know why they put the team in Sunrise. It makes no sense. It's in a horrible place, but I really got a much better feel or understanding, I guess, of their situation after seeing Sunrise and where it is in relation to where the bulk of the population base is. And it makes absolutely no sense. None.
And the bottom line for them, too, is they just need to get better, and then maybe for people to call Miami or the Florida Panthers really a failure, it's a failure on a lot of levels. People don't go, the arena's in a bad place, and the team sucks. Mm-hmm. Now, if the team is better and people don't go, then sure, then you can make the argument. But I don't know. Well, I don't know. Florida is always a movement candidate, but I don't think that's any fault of the potential hockey fans in Florida.
I think had they stayed in downtown Miami, they actually could have made a decent run at it. The biggest problem, in my opinion, is sort of they just had bad luck. Not only because their downturn really did start once they moved to Sunrise.
Right.
And so it's kind of like you have all these potential Panthers fans, be they in the suburbs or be they in Miami. Well, maybe they could be arsed to drive like an hour to get to the Swamp to watch a good team, but you're not going to do it for a bad team. And it's kind of like it was the worst possible moment for the team to move out to the middle of nowhere.
It's also hard to ask people to support a team that does stupid things like pop confetti when they clinch last place for the first time in team history. Or when they do things like the Lexus Rink at BB&T Center, presented by Party City.
Yeah, aren't they officially the Florida Panthers presented by Party City?
They were at one point. It was like Florida Panthers playoff hockey presented by Party City.
Going back to the location for a second, okay? I'm looking at a map here. Under optimal circumstances, all right, Sunrise is 32.5 miles from Miami, north. And according to Google Maps, it takes 41 minutes to get there. Now, like I said, it's under optimal circumstances, no traffic. But the easiest way to get from Miami to Sunrise is Interstate 95, which is one of the most busy interstates in the entire country. As my brother told me, he said, rush hour in Miami starts at 3 and it ends at 9. So if you're trying, like say if you work a 9-to-5 job in Miami and you want to go see the Panthers play, you might as well forget it. If you get off work at 5, you'll never make it by the time the game starts. It's just not going to happen. So I think you're right, Mike. I think if they put them back in Miami, I don't know that they would ever draw 18,000 a game, but I think they would be more successful. But you stuck them out really in the middle of nowhere. They're west of Fort Lauderdale by it looks like about 15 miles, out in the middle, right next to Everglades Wildlife Management Area. So you put a hockey team out in the middle of nowhere, in
it's
a market that they don't belong to. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you have this arena that's parked between the Everglades and a strip mall.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When we rolled up on Sunrise going down to Key West on Friday, and I went, this is where it is. Because, I mean, if you see it, you just go, there's no way there's an NHL hockey team in this town. There's just no way. Now I know one goes because, first off, it's impossible to get to. Secondly, it's just in the middle of a swamp, basically. And, yeah, it's too bad. You want to talk about the playoffs a little bit?
The problem really is all these other series, all three of them could very likely go to 7 games.
Yeah.
I mean, this Blues Stars game is Game 6. Dallas is up 2-0. Then they go to the Game 7, and then it's anybody's game.
And then San Jose, Nashville. That's in Nashville. They're 2-0 in the series. So
yeah, and they did the same thing against the Ducks. They were down 3-2 at home after losing a Game 5 on the road. Big, and then they won that game and forced a Game 7. And Caps Penguins, the Caps were down 3-1. It looked like the Penguins were very much in control of that series and were going to wipe out the Caps. But then Washington wins that game 5, and maybe they lose a little faith in the backup goalie that's leading the Penguins right now. And I think that's really the more interesting of the series. Mm-hmm. If the Capitals can win this game with the backup and Marc-Andre Fleury is healthy now, do the Penguins put Marc-Andre Fleury in for Game 7?
You don't. No, you don't. Marc-Andre Fleury is. You put him in the playoff. You put him in net in the playoffs. You are begging to lose. Murray. Okay, Murray has been solid to phenomenal for them over the course of these playoffs. I don't care if he loses this next game. You ride with him till the end.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Marc-Andre Fleury. Is way past his best by, his used by day.
I was gonna say too. I don't know that under the best of circumstances that I would trust him in the playoffs. It's like San Jose. I haven't been following the San Jose Nashville series. So was it San Jose was up what? 2-1?
San Jose was up 2-0.
Okay.
Basically, the home team has won all the games in that series.
Whoa.
Nashville or San Jose was up 2-0 after 2 pretty impressive performances on home ice. Then they came back to Nashville, and Nashville got a little lucky in some overtimes, but they won their 2 games. Then they come back and the Stars kill them in Game 5 in San Jose, and now they're going back to Nashville for Game 6 tonight, where again Nashville, I don't know what it is. They play really damn hard. I'll give them that much, but I don't know what makes this team good, other than they play really hard and they don't want to lose.
Well, sometimes that works.
Maybe.
All right, so here's the question. Okay,
it's completely uninspired and nauseatingly wholesome.
Well,
God, this was the same fan base that last year.
Wow, remember that?
Huh?
I was going to say, remember that whole newspaper thing they did last year, the Purds?
Yeah, no, and I had specifically looked it up and pulled it up as a thing to just have in my browser for whenever the Ducks were eventually going to beat Nashville, which never came.
You never do that. What were you thinking?
Well, I also wanted it for just like inspiration. Like, God, I want to hate these people. Oh, here's a reason why: because they're idiots, and they had a food critic write the preview for the playoffs.
You never ever plan on a win in the playoffs. I don't care.
Oh, it wasn't like that. It was more just like I was looking it up. I needed it for something, and
so here's my question:
I was holding it like if we do beat them, I throw it up. But
if the Purds win tonight, they force a Game 7. Now 3-0, or is that a highlight? Nope, that's 3-0.
No, that's 3-0.
3-0.
That's what I said. Oh, Blues.
So let's say the Purds win tonight. Okay, now everybody's been winning on their home ice, but you're the San Jose Sharks. We saw what happened a couple years ago with the Kings. Do they does it start kind of percolating in their head a little bit and going, oh boy, here we go again?
No, because this isn't the Kings.
I don't know.
It's Nashville. They beat them all the games at home already, and I mean, despite this being kind of a tight series, San Jose is the better team, and they're playing really well right now. And I think that even if it goes to 7, I'd still give it to San Jose.
Okay.
The Sharks I'm hesitant to say they're for real this year because I think people have said the Sharks have been for real for the past 15 years. They've been for real for like a decade and a half now, and look where it's gotten them. Mm-hmm. But
it's gotten them a damned fine rec league team. Come on.
It is quite impressive. I actually have absolutely no idea about their rec league team and about their adult rec league, and I kind of want to look into it just to see what all the hype is about. But I just think that of the 4 teams in the West remaining, the Sharks look to be the most consistent. Nashville, as Zach has said, is actually not all that impressive of a team. They just sort of play hard and want to win, and somehow that is good enough.
Yeah, they're kind of like the worst aspects of today's hockey, where they clog up the neutral zone, block a shit ton of shots, and they have a really tall goaltender that gets in the way of a lot of shots. It's like Pecorino is actually a very good goalie, but he's not as good as he once was, and at this point he's kind of not unlike Ben Bishop, where he's just tall and stops pucks.
Well, Pecorino also has a lot of mileage on him. They have leaned on him heavily.
But they're led by guys like Shea Weber and Mike Fisher, James Neal.
Shea Weber, by the way, who I want to remind everyone again, doesn't actually want to be there.
Right. He's also a guy that because they lost a first game series to Detroit, decided to slam Henrik Zetterberg's head into the glass like he was a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you're forgetting about the X factor with the Purge too, which is former Columbus Blue Jacket Ryan Johansson. So,
he's actually been kind of a little shit in this series.
Really?
Yeah.
But
has he played well though? I mean, is he?
He's playing okay.
Yeah.
I think he has a goal or two, maybe.
But the Purge just really. I mean, the Purge aren't going to get far on just believing really hard in themselves. Like, that's not going to win you a Stanley Cup eventually. You actually kind of need people to produce, not a team full of glorified second-liners. I don't think there is a legitimate number one center on that entire team. It's fascinating. It's like an entire team made up of like second-string guys, but whatever.
But you think about it. But just for a second, though, think about it. If you've got like 4 lines that are all second string good, that's not so terrible, really. If all 4 lines are like number 2 line good, I mean, like 1 through 4, all 2 line good. To me, that's better than like having a really good first line, a pretty good second line, and your grinders on your fourth line. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm trying to think of a reason why the Purds might be good.
I mean, they're not bad. The Purds aren't good. They're just not bad, and that's good enough. The Stars, we've gone over it before, that even if the Stars' offense is firing on all cylinders, I'm going to say right now, even up 3-0, the Blues aren't out of this because, God damn it, from the blue line back, Dallas is a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
So
hard to let Nick blow a groin any second.
Exactly. So
wait it out.
Even if Dallas somehow manages to get past St. Louis, that's still the Western Conference Finals and Stanley Cup Finals they'd have to go through, and I don't see them. I just don't see that defense and the whole rotating goalie thing working out long term. I guess the only other team that could pose a challenge to San Jose is St. Louis, but I think in a head-to-head matchup, if you just compare roster to roster, man to man, I think the Sharks are just a better team in that regard. So,
yeah, but that's just a matter of who loses the most games, not who wins the most games.
Exactly. No, exactly. Like, I don't that. I think the Sharks Blues Western Conference Final will just be absolutely hilarious because I don't even think you could say for certainty that a team will have actually won it if they actually win it, because any team could blow a 4-0 lead, it's the Sharks or the Blues.
So it's basically the team that loses the least is the one that's going to advance in the Stanley Cup Finals here.
I kind of want to see. I'm going to make a bold prediction that a Blues Sharks Stanley Cup Finals will have one team blowing a 3-0 lead. One of the two will blow a 3-0 lead. Western Conference, yeah.
Yeah.
Western Conference Finals, they're going to blow a 3-0 lead. It's going to go to a Game 7, and then that Game 7 will just end up trapping our world in an infinite time loop because the universe can't allow one of these teams to come back and win it. Like, that game will never end.
Well, yeah, because you're going to have one of these two teams winning a Game 7 to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. No,
exactly. It's like trying to divide by zero. The universe will just keep rebooting itself.
No, one team will lose it. They'll put the puck into their own net. They will lose the game for the other team.
So then we can say that no actually won.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so between the Sharks and Blues in Game 7 overtime, who's more likely to put the puck in their own net, the Sharks or the Blues?
That's a tough question in and of itself. I would have to say, wow. I'm just going to give the historical nod to the Blues because they've just been frustrated longer. So I'm going to go with the Blues.
Okay, hang on. I just have to confirm something quickly. I'm trying to see in the event of that game. Okay, I'm going to say in that case it's going to be the Blues because the Blues would have home ice advantage, and thus it will be more devastating to them. So Game 7 in St. Louis, the Blues put the puck in their own net.
In overtime?
And in overtime.
Okay.
And send the Sharks to the Stanley Cup Finals. And who is the captain in San Jose currently? I still
Joe Pavelski.
Really? Him?
Yeah,
right.
He's pretty good now.
I guess, but all right. Okay, and he gets to, and then he will, awkwardly hold the Campbell Bowl, and
no, he won't. He won't go near it.
He'll hold it, and he won't really be sure of if he wants to, because did we really earn this? Because I mean, I don't know. And then the team will awkwardly crowd around. It'll be the most awkward post-game victory celebration you've ever seen for a major trophy.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
And then the Sharks will of course, print a giant banner that probably has a picture of the trophy on it because, of course, they will. But I don't know. I Sharks and Blues. They are probably the two best teams remaining, and it's just sort of hard to wrap my mind around the fact that one of them, by sheer process of elimination, will go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. Then again, no. Dallas isn't getting out of this. Never mind. But what about the East, though? Who do you guys like
in the East?
You like
although I think if Washington can actually pull this series out, then I think maybe that gives them the same kind of thing that we thought with the Blues. We came back in a series where we were down and we won a Game 7. This is not something we do. We can do anything that we want to now because we've exercised the demons.
I mean, of the teams left in the East, I'd like to see Washington out of the three that are left, or then Tampa Bay. I mean, Pittsburgh, and it's not like I don't like the Penguins, but I don't know. I'd like to see the Caps pull it off, really, but then again, if you do that, okay, let's just follow this to its logical conclusion. If the Caps somehow win the series against Pittsburgh, and then they go in and they beat Tampa Bay in the Eastern Conference Final, you're going to have the Caps against possibly the Sharks or the Blues. So then where are we?
Yeah, I don't know. These playoffs are kind of weird. It really doesn't seem like the best team is going to end up winning the Stanley Cup.
Because I think the best teams aren't playing anymore as part of the problem here.
The best teams remaining, I'd say, are probably either Washington or Pittsburgh at this point, just in terms of raw talent. In my opinion, and I think the winner of Washington-Pittsburgh represents the East. I think that's the true Eastern Conference Finals. I watched both the Penguins Caps games and the Lightning Islanders games, and the one thing that I came away from thinking was that both both the Penguins Capitals are just so much better than either the Lightning or the Islanders. I know earlier in the show I said the Lightning are kind of on all cylinders, but that kind of, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
It also helped that, we thought it'd be fun if the Islanders won, but the Islanders just weren't up to snuff. Like, John Tavares played really well in that first round, but he played good for a game or two, but couldn't carry the team all by himself. They're still playing with their backup goaltender, Thomas Greiss. And the rest of the team is kind of meh. And the arena they play in is kind of bleh. So,
Kinda.
mostly bleh. But, it's...
I just think it's a weird playoff.
The winner is going to move on. But, yeah, I think that's more what we're saying, though, is, like, with the Blackhawks out and the Kings out, and even the Ducks out, and even the Rangers, just for argument's sake, it doesn't seem like the best teams in the league or the championship contenders that we all had our eyes on through the majority of the season aren't gonna be or aren't even these semifinals. They all lost in the first round.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
You've got that, and then let's be honest about it. Let's be honest about it too. There's the teams with the big quote unquote curb appeal, like the Rangers, the Blackhawks. The Bruins weren't there in the first place, but there aren't any of the quote unquote name teams left in this thing either, really. So it's kind of like you want to, like, when you look into it, you're going into it, you go, man, it'd be cool if like a lot of these teams will never get there, but when they do. And everybody else is gone. It's kind of like, Does that make sense?
Another one, we talked about them earlier, was the Panthers. I mean, it kind of seems weird to talk about them as sort of like an elite team, but they had a fantastic regular season. And I picked my Eastern. Getting my conferences mixed up today. My Eastern Conference Finals was going to be Penguins Panthers, and the Islanders. I wouldn't say convincingly, but it was a 4-2 win. So it was a 4-2 series win. So you look at that, and it's like, it's sort of like the revenge. This is the playoffs. It's the revenge of all of the teams that perpetually choke, and it's kind of left everyone going like, I don't think any of us have confidence in most of these teams to do much.
Well, plus there's no one left.
Someone's got to.
There's no one left where you go like, okay, I want to see the Stars like with the Blackhawks. I want to see the Stars knock off the Blackhawks, or I want to see, you know what I mean? There's no big name left to take down. Now it's just kind of like, all right.
All the villains are gone.
The villains are gone, exactly. So that kind of takes some of the fun out of it too. I mean, I don't hate any of these teams, I mean, they're all fine. Anybody can win. I'd be happy with it,
I think I don't know. The Stars can be a villain if you look at their jumbotron through the years. I mean, that's pretty troll stuff.
That's stretching it, though, right?
Yeah,
I'm trying to create a narrative. I'm trying to help us.
Yeah. I mean, the closest thing you might have maybe is Pittsburgh, but I don't know, And I mean, it's tough to root against those uniforms, but
honestly, I mean, my villain at this point is Nashville.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, right.
Like nobody, you're not going to get a whole bunch of people across the country like worked up about, they got to knock off Nashville. Like Nashville has a team. The what's?
You've got to have the villain. You've got to have the Goliath that David can slay, and we just don't have that right now. We've got a lot of it's like 8 George Costanzas making it here playing in the playoffs right now.
Have a quick discussion about it, I think.
Well, you guys saw it, right?
Yes.
I have not.
Yeah,
but don't worry about spoiling it for me. Go ahead and let's talk about Civil War. We'll just put out our normal spoiler alert. If you have not seen the movie, stop listening now. Okay.
Sure. I think it was a very good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very fun. It was a very good Marvel movie. But what I wanted to transition with earlier when we were talking about the NHL playoffs having a lack of villains, and that kind of makes it there's not really any stakes because you're happy with whatever, or you're rooting for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Civil War is good, but it does lack that kind of tension.
What, Baron Zemo didn't do it for you?
No, and I mean, it's like they build up like, there's other Winter Soldiers, so you think, oh God, they're gonna have to fight all these guys,
and they don't.
They show up and they're all dead. Yeah, I shot them all in their sleep. Oh, all right. So, but then they reveal that Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, was the one who killed Iron Man's parents, Tony Stark's parents.
Really?
Yeah. They kind of had a moment where they kind of turned Tony into Batman for a scene or two.
Yeah. Right.
Except in Tony's case, it wasn't a cave full of bats. He was in a kitchen full of pots and pans, right? Get it? All right, sorry.
Yeah, I get it. But you get Tony Stark reciting the line of, "He killed my mom." But the other thing with it is the whole thing they built up the entire time was, are you Team Iron Man or are you Team Captain America? It's like, well, yeah, you want to pick sides. And then when they go explain their positions, it's like, well, I see Cap's point of view and I see Tony's point of view. I don't know, guys, why don't you just work it out? Why don't we just talk about it for a while? But they have to build it up to make them
Captain America, reasonable discourse.
Right. And when they do line them up to fight, it's Iron Man's Captain America says, well, I have to get to that plane over there.
Yeah.
And Team Iron Man says, well, we're not going to let you get to that plane over there.
Yeah.
And then they fight. And then they get to the plane.
That's it?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's
really that's underselling it. It's very fun. The fight scenes are great. Bringing in Spider-Man. This Spider-Man that they bring in,
he's pretty good.
They do kind of forcefully bring him in, but he's great. I cannot wait for this new Spider-Man movie. This is Spider-Man. This is great.
His Empire Strikes Back line was great.
Right. Ant-Man gets all huge, and so Spider-Man starts doing a thing where he takes his web and wants to tie up his legs and turn him over. So he's spinning around. He's trying to explain his plan to everybody. Hey guys, you ever seen that old movie, The Empire Strikes Back? Old movie? How old is this kid?
Yeah, I think it was War Machine. He's like, oh, what the fuck? It's old.
Iron Man says, I didn't carbon date him. What do you want me to do? But it's also weird because Aunt May's hot.
Yeah, Aunt May is. Although to be fair, they at least called attention to it.
Right, Aunt May is played by Marissa Tomei now. Right?
Really?
So yeah. Aunt May is not some old woman that is kindly and helps raise.
I can't. I'm sorry, but
she's the hot aunt.
All right, yeah. Aunt May's got to be Aunt May. She can't be Marissa Tomei. Come on now.
Then it got me to thinking if Aunt May is hot Aunt May, how do we kill Ben again? How do we kill Uncle Ben this time? What is he?
Well,
not to mention. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I think the implication, because they don't want to rehash the Spidey origin again. The implication, I think, is that Ben's dead by this point.
Well, here's my thing, though. If Aunt May is Marissa Tomei, how the hell is she still single? Is my point,
Well, that's kind of the funny part is when Tony Stark shows up, he's hitting on Aunt May, and it's pretty great. It's a fun scene.
Although someone brought up a great point that if you look at Aunt May in the original Sam Raimi trilogy, who was the old woman,
yeah,
and then she was Sally Field. Sally Field in the Andrew Garfield version. Now she's Marissa Tomei. It's is Aunt May Benjamin Buttoning through?
Yeah.
The Spider-Man, these various Spider-Man reboots.
Yeah. But I don't know. Back to Civil War as itself.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun, good fights, but it's ultimately a thing where you want both sides to win. Like, you just want them to make, like, be friends at the end, because you know that there's more Avengers movies, so they're going to have to come together. And like,
I did like, though, that they didn't wrap the conflict up by the end of the movie, because I was going from when I first heard what their plans for Civil War, were going to be in a cinematic scale. I was like, well, you could probably turn the Civil War arc itself could probably be its own 3 movies if you wanted to do it that way.
Yeah, but by the end of the movie, like at the end of it, you get Cap or Tony's reading that letter from Captain America, and you think they still kind of disagree, but I think they understand each other's side at this point.
Yeah, but at the same time,
they do lock up Bucky. And I think what I think would have been better is in the Civil War comic, there's ultimate stakes because as a result of it, Captain America dies in the comics.
I was waiting for that scene, and it didn't happen.
Well, I don't think that they were going to kill Captain America, but I think they should have killed somebody to have like some sort of pain or loss or sense of stakes, because otherwise
you should have killed Rhodey.
Maybe. I mean, he's a guy that you could kill and not have too much made of it. Like you can replace War Machine.
See, my thinking is that they want to keep Rhodey alive in the event that Robert Downey Jr. doesn't re-up on his contract at some point, and then they just follow the comic storyline of having Rhodey become Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that does happen, too, you've got a guy that you're used to, and Don Cheadle and everything. So, yeah, I could see that. That makes sense.
And then you just make Terrence Howard feel, like, really shitty for turning it down.
Well, my understanding with Terrence Howard is that he's quite insane. So maybe it's a good thing that he kind of moved along, because from what I understand, that's one nutty dude.
I think he's making pretty good money from Empire on Fox. But... and Rhodey does get the short end of the stick with all this because he gets paralyzed, but because a guy that makes robotic suits, he gives him, robotic leg assists to help him learn how to walk again. Rhodey's still going to be okay.
That scene was pretty good, though. Tony Stank.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
there is good potential for a Falcon Bucky buddy comedy.
Oh, those two were great. Could you move your seat up?
Oh.
No.
Yeah, good stuff all around.
I will say that I really love the Civil War comic series, and I was a bit disappointed that actually wasn't the focus of the Civil War movie. Like, it kind of seems like they had a sequel to The Winter Soldier written.
Right.
And then someone, like, probably a Disney executive was like, do Civil War! And then they're like, well, we kind of have this thing with Winter Soldier. I guess we could fit Civil War into it.
Yeah.
And then, because it did seem like two scripts that were kind of rammed together, and they do a good job of blending it. But there were points where I'm like watching the Bucky stuff, and then it'll cut back to Iron Man. I'm like, oh, right, the Civil War thing is happening.
Yeah. Like that's one of my small problems with it, was that the Winter Soldier was about Captain America wrestling with, that's Bucky, and then this movie is, well, I gotta save Bucky. Bucky was at the main point of the last plot too, so now you have Bucky's locked away, and it looks like he's probably going to be a part of the Black Panther movie, which Black Panther makes his debut in this movie and is awesome.
Black Panther kicks ass.
I didn't know anything about Black Panther before this movie, other than, like, he's the king of Wakanda and the Vibranium, and he's a cat suit guy.
Yeah.
But he's awesome. Black Panther is cool.
He was played by the guy that played Jackie Robinson in 42, right? Chadwick Boseman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he did a great job. Like, I've never really particularly been a Black Panther fan, but after seeing this movie, I probably would have ended up seeing the Black Panther movie anyway, just because comic book movies. But
Marvel makes you.
Exactly, right?
Are they doing a Black Panther movie?
Yeah, the mid credits were sort of a teaser for the Black Panther movie.
Cool.
And I guess
after the credits was a teaser for Spider-Man.
Yes.
So, like, with Marvel, I'm excited about Black Panther. I'm excited about Captain America, or not Captain America, Spider-Man. But the next line in the Marvel movies is Doctor Strange, and I still don't know what to make of that movie at all.
I've always kind of liked Doctor Strange, and Benedict Cumberbatch is always delightful. So I definitely think that'll be good. And the thing that really got me about the trailer, and keep in mind, this is all just trailer talk, and trailers, they can lie and they can bullshit, and Iron Man 3 hurt me in ways that I'll never fully recover from. But
yeah.
But at the same time, the one thing, even though, I'm a big Marvel fan, I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole, but the one thing about it that I've kind of been annoyed with is when people try to insist, like, it's like every movie is different and they're all, like, they all do their own thing. And I'm like, no, they don't. Thor isn't a fantasy movie. It's a comic book movie with fantasy trapping. And Winter Soldier isn't a political thriller. It's a superhero movie with, political thriller trappings. But Doctor Strange, if the trailers are any indication, seems like the first movie that'll legitimately try to do something different.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm looking forward to that.
I don't know. It's just like it looks different, but it's almost too different in a way that, like, well, how are we eventually going to bring in? Because Doctor Strange is going to fold in with everything else.
Obviously.
So how do you let the mysticism and weird magic of Doctor Strange, how does that really fit in with the superpowers of the Avengers or the space stuff of the Guardians of the Galaxy? It's like it just doesn't seem like
you've already got Thor, though. You've already got Thor, though, who's pretty mystical and magical, and so I don't know.
Real quick update, guys. Alex Steen just put the Blues on the board, 3-1.
It begins.
Yeah. Continue.
But anyway.
So, yeah, I want to see it. My brother saw it and really liked it, Civil War. So, and you guys say it's pretty good, so I guess it'll be worth a look.
It's good.
No, definitely go see it. It's fun.
It is fun. It definitely is that. I think I know what you're gonna say, Zach, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Between this and Batman v Superman.
Oh. I just don't want to talk about that movie ever again, really.
Okay. My apologies.
It's awful in every sense.
Now, what was I going to say? There was something more. On Civil War, they do kind of change what the whole Civil War-ness is about. Like, it's not the same as in the comics. It's not a superhero registration act. This time, it's more just like, will we let the UN run the Avengers? Which was weird. But I guess
I can suspend my belief for that. It makes enough sense.
Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I guess I will admit, maybe I'm just an Iron Man fanboy, but Captain America still came across as a douche in this to me.
Yes, he's a goody two shoes that
he's a goody two
for truth and justice.
He's a goody two shoes douchebag, but even on top of all of that, he's just like, he doesn't even. It's not even more about his principle. He kind of just uses my principles excuse because it's really about, I gotta go save Bucky, and it's like, Bucky, even if Bucky didn't do the thing that everyone wants him for in this movie. He still killed, like, a shit ton of people. So...
Right, like, you know, yeah, sure, he's your friend. But that doesn't mean that we're just going to let him walk the streets.
It's like, I hate, like, Steve, I hate to break it to you, but plenty of people have friends in jail.
Ray Lewis and Chris Carter on their way out at ESPN. Randy Moss coming in. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
Thank fucking God.
So we've replaced antlers with butts because, of course, Randy Moss, known for his fake mooning.
I don't think Randy Moss. He doesn't strike me. And again, he just doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to be a good analyst. That's all. I don't know.
He was actually really good at Fox. I enjoyed him.
Okay.
Yeah, he was actually pretty good.
From what I've seen of him, he seems to have a very camera-friendly personality. Like, he seems very comfortable. Yeah. He seems, good banter, that sort of thing. I think he'll do well. And Ray Lewis was just awful, so thankfully he's gone. Yeah. And Chris Carter, you really had to get rid of him after that whole, get yourself a fall guy.
Well, I just thought that ESPN was so in love with Ray Lewis throughout his career, and then it was like just manna from heaven when he retired and they could bring him in. I'm just surprised that he's gone so quickly.
I mean, I'm surprised it took this long, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I think,
come on, look at him. I mean,
the other thing that's nice is that with all these moves, actually, no, never mind. I thought it was going to be them paring down the table already. Oh, because they got rid of Keyshawn. Keyshawn Johnson wasn't being renewed. Ray Lewis and Chris Carter being gone, and them just bringing in Randy Moss. But joining the countdown crew will also be Charles Woodson and Matt Hasselbeck.
So basically, we got rid of 2 guys and bringing in 3. In other words, oh no, it's even, right?
Well, they got rid of 3.
Yeah. So okay.
And Mike Ditka also left.
Oh, so maybe there isn't going to be an extra space at the table then.
Well, Hasselback is Ditka's replacement white guy.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is they're never getting rid of that table because I think they paid way too much for that table. They
right.
need to.
And the other one I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on. Sean McDonough, as was speculated before, has replaced Mike Tirico as the voice of Monday Night Football. I think he's pretty solid.
Monday Night Football is such a shell of its former self at this point that I can't who's calling Monday Night Football is at this. It doesn't mean what it used to.
Yeah. I agree with you there.
I mean, whatever.
Just interested to see how he interacts with Gruden because I thought Tirico had Gruden down pretty well.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Dennis Miller, bring that back.
Just real quick on that, I think that could have worked had they approached it differently. Instead of trying to make it funny or whatever they were trying to do, if they had brought in Dennis Miller as just like a fan. From the fans' perspective, like, okay, I forget who was it him, Fouts, and Al Michaels were the 3, right?
Yep.
When something happened on the field, instead of trying to make Dennis Miller do one of his bizarre, obscure reference rants, why not go, okay, Dan, as a fan, why would you do this here? Because it makes no sense to me. You know what I mean? I think it could have worked like that, but the way that they implemented it, it was not good. There you have it, Greg's quick media takes. So now we will
Greg's takes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zach's Tabs.
Zach's Tabs!
Big news from across the pond, gentlemen.
Oh, yes.
We have a champion crowned in the Premier League, and my God, it is probably the most improbable sports story of all time. Really. Leicester City, not Leicester, Leicester City, the Fantastic Foxes, are the Premier League champions. The first time that club has won a top-flight division title in its 132-year history. It's only the second non-Manchester or London team to win the Premier League since its creation in 1993. It's only the 6th team overall to win the Premier League title. And they started off the season last year. Last year was their first year up in the Premier League. They were promoted. They've been in the Premier League before, but this was their first year back after being promoted. And with 9 matches left to go, they were firmly entrenched in the relegation zone. They had an incredible run to win, I think 7 of the last 9 or 6 of the last 9 to stay in the Premier League. They started off the year with 5,000 to 1 odds to win the damn thing, and they went and did it. A couple of amazing season-long performances by guys you wouldn't have known or cared about beforehand that are now going to get big contracts when their time's up. Guys like Jamie Vardy or I think is Mahrez is the other guy.
I wish I had dropped a couple of quid on those odds.
Yeah.
How you like that, Mike? I got a little British stuff in there for you.
Here are things that had lower odds than Leicester to win the Premier League. Again, 5,000 to 1 was
right.
Leicester. Elvis being found alive had better odds. The Yeti or Loch Ness Monster being proven to exist had better odds.
Wow.
Christmas being the warmest day of the year in England. That Kanye West and Kim Kardashian would name their next child Sinner. That Kim Kardashian would be the president of the United States in 2020.
Wait a minute. That she had better odds than Leicester winning the Premier League?
Yes.
Wow. So this is like up there with the U.S. beating the Soviets in hockey type of thing then, huh?
When it comes to and really there's nothing to really compare it to. Like even the Russian or the United States being the Russians in the Olympics had better odds.
Yeah.
These are the North American examples that somebody put up. Let's see. The 1987 Minnesota Twins were 500 to 1. The 1999 St. Louis Rams were 300 to 1. The 91 Minnesota Twins were 300 to 1. The 2004 Red Sox were 120 to 1.
I don't think that we do odds at that high in American sports. I mean, I've never heard anything
even
that
the
high.
Cleveland Browns, I think, are only 500 to 1.
I was going to say. I mean, they're like beating. I mean, like the Browns doing something right had better odds than this. That's pretty amazing.
And again, though, I think that's also because we don't have regulation here, so. Yeah. I think that changes the discussion where it's like not only are they a team, a historically bad team, but they're a historically bad team that usually plays in the second division. So
this would be like akin to, say, the Columbus Clippers making the major leagues last year and then winning the World Series this year. Is that kind of like how it
more
works?
Or less, yeah.
Well,
okay.
Not even that, because in 2007 they were 2 divisions lower than the Premier League.
Wow.
So they were in Double A essentially.
So
in 2008.
So think about it like this: if the Orlando Solar Bears won the Stanley Cup,
right?
Well, that would be cool. First off, but yeah,
if the Orlando Solar Bears right now were to win the Stanley Cup in 8 years, then it'd be like a Double A baseball team moving up to the major leagues.
Like the Solar Bears. Not only they would have to leave. What are they? Are they the ECHL?
They're ECHL.
So they'd have to move up from that past the AHL, into the NHL, and then win the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much.
Wow. That's. I mean, I don't know shit about soccer, but even I can tell that's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, and those 5,000 to 1 odds were the English odds. The odds in Vegas were still pretty damn good at 2,500 to 1. Whereas, just to compare, the 76ers this season, which we all know how terrible that team was.
The NBA league office had to intervene. That's how bad it was.
They had 200 to 1 odds to win the NBA title this year.
That's what I mean. I mean, like American sports odds are
awesome.
Yeah, the American sports odds. I've never heard of it even being like 1,000 to 1. Really, I mean, I'm sure it has, but you just don't hear it.
Well, here's 1,000 to 1. It didn't win. But the 2013 Auburn football team, they had 1,000 to 1 odds to win the BCS title before the season, and that was the team that lost to Jameis Winston and Florida State.
Boo!
And and another one that got close, the 2011 St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
On September 12th of that year, they were 4.5 games behind Atlanta with 15 games to play. And they were given 999 to 1 odds on September 12th, and they ended up, beating the Braves in that wild card, game.
On that bullshit call, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the infield fly that was a fly to left field, basically.
Yeah.
Right. And ended up beating the Rangers in the World Series that year.
Yeah, and that crazy. I don't remember that Cardinals team being. I mean, I know they weren't like world beaters or anything, but I never remember them being as that, like, not bad, I guess, but not, like so little expected of them, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
You have to remember,
but in the wild card game, they were 5 games behind Atlanta.
Yeah.
And they still got to play the wild card game and got that shot. So
you have to remember, this was before Quadruple Jesus came into his own.
Right. And there was only one guy on the team named Matt at that point, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we were 4 Matts and a Quadruple Jesus away from Cardinal dominance. But that's still, like I said, I know nothing about soccer, but that's amazing to me that they could do that. Now that I've got perspective on it, yeah.
And as a result, breaking news: Leicester City has been named the new leader of the Labour Party. It's a British politics joke.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, congratulations to Leicester.
Yeah,
our 2 fans of the UK will get it.
There will be a movie made about this at some point, and
I'm sure. And just, that's the kind of service we have here at Basically a Sports Show. Mike made a joke for our 2 British listeners, so there you go. All right, what's next?
I bet they find it hilarious. Let's see.
We'll find out. I'm sure they'll tell us.
In what is going to end up being one of, or it might even be, Mike Tirico's last game with ESPN, or close to it. Cavs-Hawks game 4 the other day. Hubie Brown, the color analyst, said something to the effect of, he can use his left hand, he can use his right hand, and jerk off the defender.
Yes.
Oh, no.
He said something to the effect of, you've got to work your hand, left-handed or right-handed, you've got to work your way down the court and jerk off the defender. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good stuff. Good stuff, Hubie.
Way to go. But, yeah, speaking of the NBA, the Cavs swept again. 2 sweeps. They're in the Eastern Conference Final again.
Who they beat the second round?
Atlanta.
Oh.
Your Raptors are playing the Miami Heats.
The Miami Heat. Oh, the Miami Heats are going down. We the North. We the North!
That's right.
The Warriors still handling the Blazers pretty well. But in an interesting turn, the Spurs and Thunder are tied 2-2.
Especially after the Spurs monkey slapped them that first game.
Yeah. I don't know. But in Game 4, Tim Duncan went pointless and had 4 fouls in the first half for the first time in his entire career.
No kidding.
Yeah, so.
Wow.
Good job, Thunder, making that a close one.
Did Tim Duncan finally just run into the wall?
I don't know.
Did it finally happen? Did the fact?
I'm not ready to go there yet.
Catch up with them?
I don't know. Let's see. Do you have any thoughts on we finally saw the Mother's Day uniforms for MLB put onto the field on Sunday?
I can't believe the goddamn New York Yankees of all teams would participate in that.
Real quick on the whole thing. It's a great. Your heart's in the right place, but come on, it's getting to be too much.
George Steinbrenner never would have okayed this.
Yeah, that's my thought. It's just too much. Why not just a wristband or the bats like they used to do? But that's my thought.
Well, they can't just do that because football has done like the entire month of October in pink, so now baseball needs to prove it cares just as much.
Well, and beyond just the uniforms, like some of the guys were wearing those sleeves, right? Mm-hmm. And they had like flowers all over them.
Oh my god!
Like, I don't know.
Too much.
Anyway, last thing I have here. I'm going to send this over to you guys too, so you can look through it.
Okay.
But the WHL, the Western Hockey League, a junior league in Canada, held its bantam draft this week, where they draft 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds.
Yeah, don't think about it too hard, or else like you start to kind of weep. But yes, that's what happened.
Yeah. Canada. So these are 13, 14, 15-year-old kids that are being drafted to their junior teams, and it really gives you a look at modern parents, and because all their kids, they have to be special and unique. so they give them special and unique names.
Oh, God.
The Puck Daddy blog did a great job of ranking the top 60 of these names that were drafted. They also gave a last place. Now, last place was given to a guy or a boy named Matthew Robertson.
For having a normal name.
Having a normal-ass name.
Yes, dead last for Matthew Robertson. Defenseman, Edmonton, 7th overall, dead last in the names. Okay.
I love that. I love that. Hey, Matt, do you not understand the concept here?
Well, first off, he should be playing baseball, right? For the Cardinals.
He should be playing for
or at least the Blues. Come on. Okay, go ahead, Zach.
We don't need to go through all 60 here, but if you see one that jumps out before the top 10, just yell it out.
Xavier Cannon, goalie, Tri-City.
Yeah.
Carson. Okay, is it Carson Dyke?
Probably Dyke.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Let's see here.
I'll call some out too. Let's see. We got.
Wait, I've got my favorite, number 42, Holden Kodak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carter Woodside. Boston Billis.
No.
Let's see. Kishan Gervais.
Jagger Prasovsky.
Callan Sandquist. Carter Cockburn.
Because
Elon Bar-Lev-Wise.
Oh boy.
Riker Evans. Jagger Prasovsky.
Yeah, that's the one I tried to say there. How about, I like this. This is actually kind of a cool name. Edge Lambert.
Edge Lambert.
That's like a name I would make up for, like if I was putting a team together for NHL 16. I'd have a guy named Edge Lambert.
Edge Lambert sounds like the lead singer in a pretty kick-ass band.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Nathan, spelled Neithan. Kale, Cael. Cash, with a K.
God.
Because, of course,
Timber Lewis.
Come on, Timber Lewis and Edge Lambert. That's a great line.
Timber Lewis.
And Edge Lambert.
I like the commentary here. Okay, these last two literally aren't even names. Timber and Edge. But here's the top 10. Number 10, drafted 69th overall by City. Taryn Pfizer. Tarun.
Okay, that does sound like a Dragon Ball Z name.
Number 9, drafted 17th by the Swift Current Broncos. Defenseman Jackson Alexander. Sounds normal enough, except it's Jacson. So, why? 103rd overall by the Kamloops Blazers. Kyrell Sapotic. Kyrell. Kyrell. Number 7, 70th overall by the Kootenay Ice. Kabore Dunn. Kabore.
I'm telling you, Timber Lewis, Edge Lambert, and Kabore Dunn, that's like your next Yari Curry, Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky right there. Come on, that's a great setup.
Ryden Fidek, Ryden. Deegan Mofford, Deegan. Caden Korshazik, Kaedan. Let's see. Peyton Krebs. Peyton as in Peyton Manning.
Right.
Payson Bjorklund, Paycen.
Okay, is he at least Scandinavian?
You would hope so. His last name starts Bjork, Bjorklund.
And according to this Puck Daddy list, the top name is McKellen Couture. MKYLLAN.
Okay, Mike, you're a teacher, so you get your class list for the first day of school, and you see that name. Do you even take a crack at it, or do you just ask the kid, okay, how the fuck do you say this?
There's no shame in asking. a weird name because it's better to ask the kid than to butcher it.
Right.
If I just had to, if asking for some reason wasn't an option and I just had to wing it, McKalen would be my go-to.
Yeah.
Like I'm throwing an A in where there shouldn't be, but is it
McKellen? McKylan?
McKalen is my brain wants to stick an A in there because that's too many consonants running into each other.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I get you want to give your kid a weird name. At least spell it, because it's obviously we're not basing this on anything. So at least spell it in a way that you can pronounce it, It could be Mickelin for all we know. I mean, we don't know what the hell it is. But I don't know. I think my favorite is still Edge Lambert. That's just a fucking cool name.
Yeah.
Edge Lambert, lead guitar. Come on.
This is still what you get for having a draft for 15-year-olds.
Well, that's because my country has a very specific sickness, Zach. And I don't know what you want from us, but there it is.
Zach, you know.
Let's all send our children away to some just fucking awful prairie tundra town where he can play junior hockey. Well, first he has to play bantam in this awful town, and then he has to get drafted by people that are evaluating 15-year-olds.
That's the thing.
To compare it to America, Greg, could you imagine the people of Texas drafting middle schoolers for their high school teams?
Yes. I have no trouble picturing that.
Right. It'd be the same idea. But instead of having guys like Edge, you have guys like Colt McCoy. That's
right.
not real.
Colt and Pony and yeah.
Although all I'm saying is that if you followed our obsession with the World Juniors, then none of this comes as a shock.
I know. Well, I get it once it's juniors because I don't know, then it's somehow fine. But once you break it down to you're drafting 14-year-olds, it's weird, man.
It is weird, and somehow we've all convinced ourselves with the juniors that it's fine. It's not fine.
Well, the thing, seriously, with the age of these kids, I remember when I played baseball in high school. All right, I was going into my freshman year. Anyway, we had 3 leagues, and when you played in the 7th and 8th grade league, that was 12, 13-year-olds, maybe 14. I don't remember the exact age, but there was this kid named Greg Russell, that if you had based your drafting him on what he did when he was 13 years old, you would have thought this kid's going to be a superstar because he threw 150 miles an hour. But by the time he was a junior in high school, he fucking sucked. He had peaked at 13 years old, and that's what I think you got to worry about with this. Setting aside all the other nonsense with it, but from a pure sports standpoint,
it's also, but yeah, no, it's also really kind of creepy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean. Occasionally you have guys like McDavid or Crosby where they're actually given exemptions. They say, well, you're too good to play with the 14-year-olds or the I think it's 15. You have to beat a lot of the exceptions. So I guess they're drafting 16-year-olds. Anyway, if you're they can give an exception to allow the 15-year-old to play with the 16, 17, 18. You can be up to 20 in juniors, right?
Yes, you can, yes. So
basically you're drafting 16-year-olds or allowing a 15-year-old to go play with 20-year-olds.
Well, but that's the thing. You brought up Texas. I can't remember this documentary that I watched. Or no, I take that back. It was about Ohio. It was called Go Tigers, about the Massillon High School Tigers in Massillon, Ohio, which is just south of Cleveland. And I think they actually play – is that where they play the Hall of Fame game? No, that's – anyway. But – in Massillon, they have this thing where they call it redshirting, where they will hold a kid back in the 8th grade if he's not big enough, or if they want to, if they just don't need him yet to play football for the high school team. So
they're holding back. Oh, that is some creepy shit.
That's what I mean. We laugh about it in Canada, but the truth of the matter is that I'm sure that there's some version of it that happens in high school football in Florida, Ohio, Texas. You know what I mean?
I think the more appropriate example for things that maybe are weird in that way is AAU basketball.
Right.
is kind of weird like that, where it's like these travel high school teams.
Yeah.
They're club teams. But
I'm just saying that, it's Canada's a little more public about it than we are, but I don't know that we can necessarily look down our noses too much at them for this,
Well, no. If you try to look down your nose at us over this, I'll just remind you that Texas exists. And
you can use that with pretty much anything, whether it's sports or otherwise. All you've got to do, anything that we say, you go, yeah, well, you know what? You've got Texas. And it's like, well, okay. Checkmate, basically.
But, yeah, it's unsettling. You even get most of the commercials that deal with even the commercials that deal with the World Juniors get creepy because it's like they try to do sort of a 24/7 type program with like the Canadian junior team sometimes on TSN. And it's like, so what? We're just going to follow 16-year-olds around the entire time? Like, well, are we sure this is legal?
Didn't we have Zach? Wasn't there a show on ESPN a few years back about a high school team that was similar to that? I can't remember.
Hoover, Alabama.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I think that was on. That was on MTV, I think.
Was okay, MTV, but yeah, I mean, anyway, it's just God, I love sports, but man, sometimes you just don't want to get too close. You don't want to take too close of a look at things because then it really starts getting kind of strange.
You don't want to take too close a look at it, and I think that this particular tab is disturbing on multiple levels because, of course, you've got the whole creepiness factor of drafting, 15, 16-year-olds, but you've also got just a really depressing look into the naming conventions of modern parents.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, my brother and my sister-in-law went out of their way to make sure that my niece and nephew had normal names. Like, they're like, we're not going to do – so my nephew's name is Thomas. My niece's name is Emily. It's like, we're going to keep it – because what my sister-in-law said, she said, I want to name them something that's not going to sound stupid when they're 30,
No, there was one of the baseball games I covered the other day. Reliever came in. His name was Brooks. Broox.
No.
Yeah.
No. Oh man.
Not Brooks. Broox.
I mean, a little tribute to Brooks Robinson, I'd be okay with, but with an X. Wow.
Yes.
Oh no, that's just not good.
We are reaching the point where Seinfeld might become a reality where someone just names their kid Seven.
Which I think is a cool name myself, but I would name my cat Seven. I'm not naming a kid Seven.
I mean, there's also kids that are named Espen around ESPN.
Oh, my favorite is, was it Nieva or something? It's heaven spelled backwards.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, come on. But who knows?
That's the hashtag blessed of naming.
We're living in the end times, boys. It's as simple as that.
Indeed.
It's a fucked
All
up
hail
world.
President Trump.
All right, is that it?
That's it, unless you want to talk about 7,500 snakes mating in Manitoba.
No, I don't like snakes.
Or the wildfires that are burning down all of northern Canada.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is.
But
I saw a thing where the smoke got caught up in the high airs and it's reached all the way down to
Florida. I read, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And there's basically no way for them to stop it at this point, right?
Yeah, no, you basically just have to let it burn itself out, I think.
Wow.
But they've already Fort McMurray. They've already said they're going to rebuild it. I mean, I don't know what else you say, but the fact that there's going to be a concentrated effort at least is nice.
Damn, that's a hell of a thing. But anyway, on that note, you know the routine. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, YouTube, and find us on Facebook. And speaking of the end of the world, a new Basically a Political show will be recording this week. So,
yes, now that we have our two candidates, at least two candidates, it looks like we're going to have Hill Dog versus Trump Train. So,
speaking of the end of the world,
we'll see how this might just be the last presidential election.
It's going to be something. But on that note, we will see you next time, folks.
Later.
See ya.